What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the Veteran and Rookie Podcast. This is your veteran here speaking, and over the internet here, I've got a fan favorite guest back with us today. It is Mr. David. What's up? How you doing?
I'm doing great. How are you, Benea?
I'm doing good on this fine Tuesday night that we're recording. We're going to be going over this past week. I believe it was, week 9, so week 10. We're halfway through the NFL season already, which is crazy because it feels like it just started, but a lot of big games coming up, and obviously, you know, they say like the season doesn't start until Thanksgiving, or it doesn't matter or whatever. So I guess we're getting to the quote unquote important games, you could say. But
Right. Yeah, and a lot of big games that happened just this last weekend. Like I was shocked when that slate of games came out. This is a big week and a lot to unpack here today.
Yeah, it might be the best week of football we've gotten this season so far. Like, it was a lot of good games. So speaking of good games, I mean, for Game of the Week, we had Kylie on last week's episode along with John. So there were 3 of us, and we all had good picks going in for Game of the Week. I took Bengals-Bills Sunday Night Football. John went with Chiefs-Dolphins. That was over in Germany. And then, of course, Cowboys-Eagles there was Kylie's pick, and she ended up winning that one with Game of the Week. But all of those were exciting games, I would say, and a good start off to the draft for us there.
Yeah, you had a 5-point game by the end of the game for Philly, Dallas. You had a 6-point, is it a 6-point? Yep, 6-point game for Cincy and Buffalo, and then the 7-point game over in Germany. So yeah, that's great picks. But I mean, how could you go wrong with picking any of those 3? Those are 6 of the best teams in the NFL right there, all beaten up against each other. How fun!
Right, yeah, that was a good way to start it off. You know, maybe a touch underwhelming over in Germany and whatnot, but Miami made it close towards the end. Of course, with the Cowboys-Eagles game, wasn't it like CeeDee Lamb a couple yards shy of the end zone there at the end to possibly win it for Dallas if he had just gotten a couple more yards there? And then Bills-Bengals, good football, as always, 2 of the best teams in the AFC, even with the Bills in a little bit of a slump right now. But at the end of the day, for me at least, I'm not too concerned about them because, you know, same thing with like what Joe Burrow has said with the Bengals. As long as he's there, the window's open. I think as long as Josh Allen is with the Bills, their window's open, even if they're not quite as good this year as they have been in years past.
Yeah, you're so right there. I mean, when I look at their schedule, they don't have the most favorable schedule in the world to end the season off, but the next 2 games are Broncos Jets. So those you're expecting to tack on 2 W's there.
Yeah, some good games to get back right on.
Exactly, that's right.
For the blowout of the week category, I took the Colts over the Panthers. That game finished 27-13. John took Browns over Cardinals, though, which was the pick to make here. 27-0. Clayton Tune and the Cardinals doing absolutely nothing. They put up 58 yards against the Browns. A professional football team put up 58 yards in a game. Like,
that's wow.
Yeah.
And by the way, Deshaun Watson only threw for 219 yards in that Buffalo blowout there. So that's not a lot when you consider they blew them out 27-0.
Right.
That run game was strong for them, and honestly, the Browns just look like a more scary team than I think we cared to admit earlier in the season. We're starting to take them a little bit more seriously now. Mm-hmm. Yeah, that'll be interesting how that division finishes out, because you also had the other, what I would consider the large blowout of the week, which I didn't see, was the Ravens Seahawks.
Yeah, that was the biggest blowout of the week right there.
Yeah. I'm not sure what did Kylie pick for blowout of the week? Was it her Ravens?
No, she went with the Commanders over the Patriots, which was only a 3-point game in the end there. So John did end up hitting that point right there with the blowout. Speaking of that Seahawks-Ravens game, though, not my best pick for upset of the week. I took the Seahawks over the Ravens, and not my best move.
Not honestly, I wasn't seeing that coming either. I mean, we know the Ravens are good. We know they're a really good team, but I didn't think they'd do that. That was impressive. That was an impressive win for the Ravens. And honestly, I wouldn't just say underwhelming for the Seahawks. I'm looking at their stat line right now. They had, and I'm not joking, 28 yards rushing for the
Oh,
game. 28 yards for the Seattle Seahawks. That's Kenneth Walker and Zach Charbonnet
right.
putting together 28 yards, actually more like 24 yards for those two, and Geno Smith had 4 yards. So that Ravens run defense, very good and very impressed. I wasn't expecting that either, but yeah.
And it seems like the defense, they got to Geno a lot. He was sacked 4 times in this game, only completed 13 out of 28 passes. Yeah, just all around a nightmare game there for Seattle. And Baltimore's looking like one of the best teams in the league right now. I mean, I don't like the losses that they had because they honestly those were both games they should have won. But still, like I've seen a lot of people in the power rankings world or whatnot putting them at least two, if not one. And right now I think it's deserved because they look very good on both sides of the ball.
Yeah, I agree with you there. When you look at their game plan against Seattle, Lamar Jackson he didn't have a single touchdown the whole game.
Yeah,
It wasn't Lamar Jackson. They just ran the ball the whole entire time. And that's kind of was their game plan. So but in previous weeks we've seen Lamar just completely ball out. So they're
right,
they're a scary team, not just because they can win, but because they can win in so many different ways. That's
exactly.
kind of what scares me about the Ravens, yeah.
Right, Lamar can go off for 4 passing touchdowns and 350 yards, or they can just run the ball with undrafted rookie Keaton Mitchell, who can lead the league in rushing this week. Like exactly what you're saying. They can just do so much. The other picks for ups of the week, none of us actually hit our picks this week. John took Bucks over Texans, which was the best game of the week, in my opinion. Honestly, that was crazy. I mean, man, how about CJ Stroud though? Like all the talk in the off season or like he scored really low on the test and then he looked terrible in the preseason. Who cares? He's practically already locked up rookie of the year at this point. 470 yards, 5 touchdowns in this game, including the very end there for that game winner. And he's been doing it week after week too. Like it's crazy.
Yeah, I'm impressed with CJ, and I had him at the bottom, 32 in my quarterback rankings at the beginning of the season. He
Right.
is not there anymore. He has ascended to what in my opinion is the best rookie quarterback thus far that we've seen this year. But that what was it? That 40-second drive at the end of the game,
Yeah.
just absolutely amazing. Yeah, very impressed. 5 touchdowns. Yeah, well done.
Yeah, rookie record for most passing yards in a game there as well. And I think, yeah, the only real rookie quarterback competition with him this season was Anthony Richardson, who was also balling out himself, but he's out for the season now with that shoulder injury. And so CJ Stroud's looking real good.
I agree with you. I agree with you. Watch out for the Texans. That's that team late in the season that will upset a future hopeful playoff team to end their season. Yeah, I just watch out for the Texans. They're more dangerous than people give them credit for.
Right? I wouldn't be surprised if they went out there and maybe snuck into that 7 seed in the AFC, got a little frisky there. Who knows?
Yeah, yeah. C.J. Stroud's got him. Yeah, we'll see.
Yep. The other pick for upset of the week, Kylie took Titans over Steelers, and that was the one that got real close at the end as well. Titans had a chance with Will Levis there, but then Quan Alexander with the late game-sealing interception for the Steelers, who are somehow, what are they, 5-3 now? Even though it doesn't feel like it, but they're 5-3.
Um, it doesn't feel like it, and it's because when you look at their wins, they've all been one-score wins. From the Browns win on Monday Night Football at the beginning of the season, 4-point win. Raiders, 5-point win. Ravens, whom they beat, which is impressive now looking back at that, won by a touchdown. Rams, touchdown this week, 4 points. So they're winning, but it's not by large margins. So.
Right, and
Yeah,
when they lose, they get blown out too. 30-7 against the Niners, 30-6 against the Texans, and then a 10-point
wow.
loss to the Jags.
Yeah, there's hot and cold. So I think that, yeah, Kylie made I think a good pick there. I don't
Right,
just because you got to admit, just because she didn't win the pick doesn't mean it wasn't a good one, right? The
Exactly.
Steelers are they're a little more susceptible to those kinds of losses. So
Hmm.
I thought it was decent.
The other categories we had this week, lowest scoring game. John went with Vikings Falcons. That was actually a pretty high scoring affair there, 31-28. How about Josh Dobbs in that game though? I mean, coming off the bench, didn't know his teammates' names. Did the center didn't know his cadence or anything like that. Had to go out there and just kind of teach it to him on the sidelines, and uh, balls out for Minnesota. And apparently, Josh Dobbs doesn't need any practice because he's done this a few times now. Whether it was with the Titans last year, the Cardinals getting traded a week before the season starts, or now with Minnesota, he'll just go out there and he'll do his thing.
Yeah, I watched this game and I was impressed with. Listen. Josh Dobbs, he was averaging 5 yards a pass, which is not great, but he had 66 yards rushing for on the first team. Yeah, for his first game, excuse me, on the team. He balled out, absolutely balled out this week, but it wasn't necessarily his stats that were impressive. It's just the way he played the game. Yeah, I think he's gonna. I think he's gonna do well in Minnesota. I mean, Minnesota, as we know, they were a playoff team last year, and
Mm-hmm.
even though we were I was a little shaky on them at the beginning of this season. They're still 5-4. Who knows? Who knows?
Mm-hmm. Especially in this feels like a weak NFC. They're already, if the playoffs started today, would be a 7 seed, and I wouldn't be surprised if they do end up getting a wild card spot in the playoffs.
Yeah, I don't doubt that either. I don't doubt that either. I mean, you do have the two probably most important players on your team out right now
Right.
in Justin Jefferson and Kirk Cousins, but I mean, with the way they're playing, they didn't. I will say this right now: they didn't miss Kirk on Sunday. They
Yeah.
didn't miss Kirk on Sunday, and that's impressive.
Yeah, that's saying a lot because he's Kirk Cousins has been having like a career year as well. So
That's right.
the other pick there for lowest scoring game of the week because we ran out of games. Kylie unable to pick there, but I did take the Raiders Giants game, which had a total of I think 36 points there. Raiders dominated New York, who somehow was a playoff team a year ago, but now they're already not that good. They had just lost Daniel Jones to a torn ACL for the rest of the season. They're going to be having a high draft pick, possibly a new quarterback, come the draft. But yeah, it's looking tough for New York right now.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I'm as the Eagles fan inside me does not feel bad for them at all, but I do feel bad for them. They've had a rough go of it. I mean, they've had a rough go of it. I think for the last since probably 2011,
Since they
they've
won the
had a
Super
rough go
Bowl.
of it.
Yeah.
But that's right, that's right. But honestly, in my opinion, this team could be the worst team in the NFL as of right now. Their offensive line is, I mean, it's not just their quarterback. Their offensive line is beaten and battered. I
Right.
get that they just lost Daniel Jones, but even when he was in, was he really playing up to par? So, I mean, last year we all kind of sensed that the New York Giants were that team that when you looked at the playoff teams, it was one of these teams that's not like the other, right? And
Mm-hmm.
when you saw the Giants, it was kind of like, did they really deserve to be here? Not taking any credit away from their coach, who's very good, and just what they did last year, but talent wise, I think the Giants need to do something differently this next offseason. We'll just say that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they better have a big offseason coming up. And then Raiders, fresh off firing Josh McDaniels. That news broke right after we recorded the episode last week. So just great timing there for us. But got fired Halloween night there. And then the Raiders just come out and I don't know if they were just playing harder or what with the interim head coach in there, but put up more points, I think, in the first half than they had put up in any game so far this season. So good for them.
Yeah, they're 4-5 right now, and I mean, that's impressive for the Raiders, who just fired their head coach. That's an impressive record. So, yeah, they look better without McDaniels, and McDaniels has not had, just kind of a sidebar, McDaniels has not had a very good head coaching career.
Yeah.
He's had a very good coordinating career, very good, very good record, but. Um, Yeah, it seemed to help the Raiders this week. I didn't quite watch the game. How did Devontae Adams do this time around?
I wasn't really watching the game either, but I do have Devontae Adams on my fantasy team, and he was doing pretty much nothing. He had like 4 catches for 50 yards, something like that. So the Raiders dominated, and that was without their best player really even doing anything.
Josh Jacobs had 2 touchdowns and almost 100 yards rushing. So
Right.
I'm assuming that's what did it.
Yeah,
Okay.
and then on the other side of the ball, I think let's see, Max Crosby had I want to say he had like 3 sacks or something like that. Yeah, he had 3 sacks on the day. So
Wow. Wow. Impressive.
yeah, Raiders got some good players there, but will they be able to put together eventually at some point? I don't know. I don't trust them to.
Yeah, probably not. You don't have. Yeah, probably not. Probably not there. We'll leave it at that.
Yeah. And then the last category from this past week, fantasy player of the week, and man, it was a bad week all around for fantasy player of the week. Even in our own fantasy league, no one put up over 125 points this week, and that showed with the picks here. Kylie took Puka Nakua. He put up 4.7 points. John took Justin Herbert. He put up 7.14. I took Alvin Kamara, who won it for me with 9.5 points. So
Oh man. Oh yeah, it was. That's funny. It was a bad week. It was a bad week for fantasy players. It was a bad week for fantasy players. But what does that mean? Alternatively, it means it's a good week for all these no-namers, right? You had
mhm,
Dobbs, you had the rookie running back on the Ravens, you
right.
had so it was a good yeah, it was a good week for the no-namers. It was a good no-namer week.
Hmm.
But yeah, sorry that ended up in a 9-point Alvin Kamara win for you.
Yeah. Hey, I'll take it. And
Yeah.
so for the picks, then the overall record there, I'm up to 16 points this year. John's at 18, so cuts the deficit a little bit for me there. When it comes to pick'ems this past week, I ended up going 10-4. John went 8-6. Kylie went 7-7 with hers, and so I just barely now have leapfrogged the rookie in the pick'em records, 82-54. John's 81-55, and then Kylie on the 2 episodes that she was on, she went 8-8 and then 7-7. So just sitting right there at 500.
500 level right there. Nice.
Or anything else from this past week that you wanted to hit?
Um, I mean, I gotta ask, was Swifty in Germany for the game?
She wasn't. No,
Do we
it's
know?
yeah, no. She's been going on some other tours or something like that, but didn't make the trek out there. Hence why Travis Kelsey was just okay this week.
Well, I know that we've got a in 2 weeks because the Eagles and the Chiefs this week have a bye, and then the week after they have their
Oh,
Monday Night Football rematch. So
nice.
that's something to monitor
Mm.
with Swift if Swifty's going to be in the audience or not. We'll see.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, he better hope that she's going to be there, otherwise there might be an Eagles win.
Yeah, we'll see. Well, yeah, we'll see. Hopefully she's not touring somewhere. Yeah.
Right. All right then. Let's just hop into this week's slate of games then, with the draft. And as our guest, I'll let you pick the category and then what you want to take first overall.
Thank you. I mean, I feel like the first category is always game of the week. I feel like that's kind of the running theme.
Kind of how it goes, but you feel free to go wherever
I,
you want here.
I'm going to switch it up. I'm not going to go game of the week first. We're going to go fantasy player of the
Ooh.
week. And I right now I am eyeing that San Francisco 49ers Jacksonville Jaguars game.
Ooh.
And I don't know the rules necessarily what you guys have for like how many times can a player be picked? Like can I pick Christian McCaffrey or has he already been picked this season or how does that work?
You can do whatever you want. The main thing is just, once you take Christian, if you take Christian McCaffrey here, that means like for game of the week, neither of us can take Niners Jags.
Oh, okay.
Yep, that
Well,
entire that game goes off the board.
yeah, maybe I want to rethink that one. Okay, we'll go game of the week here then. We'll
Okay.
go game of the week. I'm reverting back, but I'm not going to choose Niners Jaguars. I'm going to choose that Ravens Browns game earlier that day.
Ooh, okay.
Um, I like the divisional matchup. I think the Ravens are I mean, obviously they're very hot. That's just a statement of fact at this point.
Mm-hmm.
But the Browns, people are sleeping on that Browns team right now. That Browns team is they're 5-3, and they've had some good wins as of recent. And the Browns always play their divisional opponents pretty well. So we'll go with game of the week, Browns Ravens.
That's going to be a good one there. It's the second time they've met already this season, but the first time around, Browns were banged up and whatnot. I think it was one of their first games without Nick Chubb. Deshaun Watson wasn't playing, so Baltimore ended up dominating that one. This one is in Baltimore as well, so should be a good game, though. Good AFC North divisional battle here.
Yeah, I think it will be. I mean, once again, we if this last week told us anything, it tells us that the NFL is so unpredictable. You can't predict fantasy players. You can't predict the games the right way. And that's why we love football, right? But I'm going Ravens Browns. I think it'll be a good game. I mean, I think the Ravens will probably win, but we'll say that's the game of the week.
I'm going to be sticking in the AFC North for that category as well. Then, give me the Texans and the Bengals. I think that's going to be. I just have a good feeling about this game. You got the young C.J. Stroud here going up against the Cincinnati Bengals, who have really hit their stride the last couple of weeks. I think Cincinnati's ultimately going to end up winning this one, but I think C.J. Stroud and the Texans are going to give them a good run for their money.
You know, that's such a. I love that pick. That's such a good pick. I find it funny though. The two games we just picked, the Ravens are 6-point favorites, which is a pretty high margin. The Bengals are 7-point favorites, which is an even higher margin. So we literally took the two games with the largest, if you will, odds against us. But no, I think that's a solid pick. Yeah, with the way the Texans are playing, why not?
Yeah, going against the grain there also with what Vegas thinks is going to be a blowout. John also did send me his picks. They're not really going to count, but just for fun to see what he's thinking about. He goes for game of the week. He took San Francisco and Jacksonville there, which, again, another game that looks like it's going to be pretty good. San Francisco coming off of that bye, and Jacksonville might be coming off of a bye too, I think.
Yeah, I believe they did. Yeah, they're both coming off of byes, so they should both be fairly healthy. And yeah, we'll see what the Niners do with after their 3 straight losses, right? That they've had. They got to come back and not pull any punches against Doug Peterson's crew. So
yeah, it's not getting any easier.
That's a good pick.
Him.
That's right. Yeah, good pick, John.
There we go. Let's see. I'm gonna circle back around. I'm gonna take the biggest blowout category for us next year. Give me the Cowboys over the Giants. Especially, I mean, they destroyed them back in week 1, a healthy Giants team, and now they're on, what's his name? Tommy DeVito, I think, as the quarterback for the Giants going into this week. It's in Dallas as well. I mean, this is a recipe for disaster here for the Giants.
Yeah, I mean, that's an obviously great pick. I don't think I'll be beating you this week in that category. I don't think the Cowboys are too happy right now. So they're playing for a lot, and then the Giants aren't playing for much at all. Right. And the Cowboys are healthy. Yeah, it's all going the Cowboys' way there. So that's a good pick. For my blowout of the week, I'm going to take. We're going to kind of wish upon a star right now, and we're going to go with that Thursday night football game. I'm going to take the Bears to crush the Carolina Panthers. The Panthers haven't done anything this season. I don't expect them to, really, for the remainder of the season. But the Bears have had games where they've put up 30 to 35 points, and then they'll have games that they don't do anything. So I'm just going to place all the chips on the table and say that the Bears have a great week and they blow out the Panthers. Yeah, we'll go with that narrative.
Yeah, they've already blown out one team on Thursday Night Football so far this year. That was away, and a much better team in the Washington Commanders there before they traded away 2 of their best players. And so with the Panthers, who have just really been struggling, I could definitely see the Bears just really taking matters into their own hands, even if Justin Fields isn't healthy this week. I'm not sure if he is or not, but regardless. And I mean, to just throw some more on it there, the Bears also have the Panthers' first round pick. And so a Panthers loss really helps them on Thursday night here.
Yeah, I didn't know that thing about the pick, but I'm not sure it would have changed my opinion. But yeah, you're
Yeah.
right. That's even more incentive, fuel on the fire, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so we have blowout of the week. You have game of the week. Is this where you start doing fantasy player of the week, or what's the other category that
Yeah.
I'm missing?
You can go fantasy player of the week, your upset of the week, or the lowest scoring game of the week.
For lowest scoring game of the week, I don't think that the Raiders will put up as many points as they did this last week against a Sauce Gardner goated defense in the New York Jets. And the New York Jets, as we've seen the last 2 weeks, they don't have an offense anymore without Aaron Rodgers. So
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to take that Sunday Night Football game to be the lowest scoring game of the week, which I don't think the NFL will be big fans of, but because they're going to want that primetime game to have a lot of action. But I mean, it's just the nature of those two teams as of right now in at this point of the season. So we'll go with that game.
Right, yeah. There's some kind of stat that's like when a head coach is fired and then the interim head coach comes in, he has some like, wins 90% of the games or something like that. But then after that, it's always just straight back down because there's always a reason that head coach was fired. And so I think that could definitely continue for the Raiders. Even if they manage to get a win here against the Jets, I don't think it's going to be the prettiest of football. We saw the Jets just on primetime last night for us, going against the Chargers, and man, they struggled. The Zach Wilson experience continues to not go well.
Yeah, I mean, he had a good first 2 games with the Jets when Rodgers got injured, but
Right.
since those first few weeks, you're right. His stat line it's pretty atrocious. I will say this, he tried to pass 49 times in the game. You're trying to pass with 49 times with Zach Wilson. You're probably not going to win the game. I mean, they were behind the whole game, but I think you got to use your running backs more or do something else. So,
Mm-hmm.
but yeah, that was last week. Yeah, I think the Jets. I'll take Jets Raiders low scoring game of the week. What about you?
I'm going to go across the pond. We just had a game in Germany this past week, and I'm going to be sticking with Germany here. Colts versus Patriots. New England's offense, I mean, they've looked a little bit better the last few weeks than they did to kick off the season when they were getting destroyed by like the Cowboys and the Saints and whatnot, but they're still not good. And then the Indianapolis Colts, they've been a little hot and cold. We've seen them put up big points. They put up big points against the Browns defense of all teams. So this could add up, kind of screwing me here. And they put up, a lot of points. They put up 50 on the Patriots or something like that. But I mean, you never know. Like you were talking about the unpredictable nature of the NFL. And the Patriots defense is still solid, even if they are missing, Christian Gonzalez and some other good players on that defense.
Yeah, that Patriots situation over there in New England, I don't really know what's going on over there. It seems like they're hot and cold every other week. They're winning a game, and it's like, oh, Belichick's fine, and then they lose 2 more, and then he's on the hot seat again. So I just never know what to think about New England. But that Colts team, they're 4-5 right now. I will say this: they are a better team than their record says. I
I'd
will say
agree.
that right now. They are a better team. They have a head coach. It's his first year. I mean, which you got to give the first year coaches a little bit more slack, but he's doing really, really well. I watched a little bit of that Colts game last week, the Colts Panthers game, and granted it's the Panthers, but they couldn't run the ball at all with Jonathan Taylor. They were not doing very well.
Yeah.
So they started to dial up some run pass option plays. And then even some plays of a lot of some screen passes to the running back just to get Jonathan Taylor involved in the offense a little bit more, and it was working really, really well. So I like the offensive mind that they have over there. And they're a talented team. I think they've had some tough breaks with, obviously, the injury to Anthony Richardson and what I think some iffy reffing in that Browns-Colts game. But,
Yeah.
yeah. But, yeah, I think that's a good pick. Good pick.
All right. Let's see. I think that means I'm up again choosing a category. I'm gonna go to my upset of the week here, and we were talking earlier about the Pittsburgh Steelers, and they're 5-3, but they don't feel like a 5-3 team, and there just so happens to be a team going against them this week that I mean they just got their first win in a month here. I'm gonna take the Packers over the Steelers in this Super Bowl 45 rematch.
Yeah, they're 3-point favorites right now. I think it could be even less than that. Honestly, this could have been game of the week in my mind as well. I guess it was really just depending on the offenses, but yeah, I think it's a very good pick. And the Packers coming off a win last week, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, 20-3 over the Rams.
Yeah, that was a very quiet win. We didn't really talk about that a whole lot, but yeah, keep that rolling against the Steelers. I think that's plausible for sure. Upset of the week. You're tempting me right now
Ooh.
with a certain game. There's a certain game. I'm doing a little bit of math in my head right now. I'm probably going to regret this pick with immense proportions, but we're going Monday Night Football.
Ooh.
And the Denver Broncos off their bye week with Russell Wilson against a Buffalo Bills team that has struggled as of recently, struggled to look like their old selves. This pick, I'm looking at some of the other games right now, and I don't really like any of the others' picks. And although it didn't work out for Kylie to have those spicy picks the last 2 weeks, this is my spicy pick for the week. We're gonna take the Denver Broncos on Monday Night Football over the Buffalo Bills up in Buffalo. Yeah, we're gonna. I don't really have any reason of why, other than I think the Broncos are rested, they're healthy, and they're coming off of a win against the Chiefs the week before.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I like that pick. Buffalo, like we talked about earlier, they've been struggling a little bit, and I mean, I've picked them in other categories. I picked them, I think, back-to-back weeks, a few weeks ago for blowout of the week, and I think that was like the Giants game where they barely won, and then the Patriots game where they lost. And so I was like, I'm done picking Buffalo, at least for that kind of category. Yeah, I could definitely see that happening. A big-time Monday night upset there. Russell Wilson and the Broncos kind of have Buffalo panicking a little bit.
Yeah, and it's just one of those things too, to where it almost feels like if the Broncos don't win this game, they will rebuild. Like, this is kind of the game that will dictate whether they're going to even continue to keep playing to their max capacity for the rest of the season or not. Because right now they're 3-5, but they just came off of that big morale win, first time in 7-8 years against the Chiefs. So
Yeah.
Yeah, I feel like there's some fuel on the fire for the Broncos, and the Buffalo Bills do seem to be almost sputtering a little bit. So, but we'll see.
And last up now, we got Fantasy Player of the Week. And I hate to take the guy you were hinting at earlier, but I already had him on my draft board. He scored a touchdown in 16 straight games or something like that. I'm taking Christian McCaffrey for the San Francisco 49ers.
Yeah, great pick. Obviously, I mean, when is it ever not a good idea to take Christian McCaffrey as fantasy player for any week?
Yeah.
Yeah, I like that pick just because I don't think there's a better one out there. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I'm gonna pick. This is a difficult decision. You know what? I'm looking at that Chargers Lions game,
Ooh,
and
yeah.
I'm looking at a lot of names on either side. Really, I know that the Chargers just held the Jets to like 6 points the week prior, but when I'm looking at their secondary and I'm kind of looking at the weeks prior, give me a Detroit Lions bounce back, and I think they just had their bye week this last week, and I'm gonna pick Amon-Ra St. Brown to be my pick of the week. I like the wide receiver matchup against the Chargers secondary, and really all you got to worry about is Asante Samuel Jr. And if you can take care of him, you'll be fine. So, yeah.
Yeah, it looks like it's going to be a very exciting game this week. Just between the Chargers and the Lions. There, it looks the Chargers always have a way of keeping these games close, and even though the Lions are favored and definitely the better team, I think this should be a good close one. It definitely could have been a candidate for the game of the week.
Oh, for sure, for sure. I wouldn't be shocked if this almost has that feeling of that game that goes into the late afternoon,
Mm-hmm.
and it's 35-40 with the last person who has the ball wins the game, kind of a game. So yeah, I agree with you there.
Mm-hmm. And then also catching up on John's picks, I kind of forgot about those. He went blowout of the week. He agrees with me there. Cowboys, Giants. Let's see. Fantasy player of the week. He took Stephon Diggs of the Buffalo Bills. Lowest scoring game of the week. He agrees with you on this one here. The Jets and the Raiders. And then for his upset of the week, he went Titans over Buccaneers, who I think are slightly favored in their matchup.
Yeah, Will Levis, he could do it.
Yep, I think
He's
Tannehill
he,
is healthy now, and they're still starting Levis, so it really looks like, and I mean, it's looked like on the field that he's their guy, and so it looks like they're more so officially committing to him now.
yeah, I mean, he's still a rookie quarterback, so we'll see how that goes.
Right.
But yeah, it's exciting for the Titans franchise for sure.
All right, and so with that all taken care of, now let's jump into our pick'ems of the week. We got Thursday night football here. Bears versus Panthers. I think I already know where you're going just based off of your blowout of the week. I'm going to be taking the Chicago Bears on this one.
Yeah, I've kind of forced myself to pick the Bears in this game, anyways. But you know what? I'd probably be picking them regardless.
Yeah.
This could be a weird game, a really weird game to where the Panthers do end up winning. I I hope not for my own pick's sake, but I don't think that's going to be the case. Yeah, we'll take Bears, obviously.
And the Bears defense also a little bit better now with that Montez Sweat trade. They just paid him a bunch of money too, and so he's going to be sticking around there in Chicago. John's also going to be going with the Bears on that one.
Yeah, Montez Sweat. He kept Alvin Kamara and the Saints for the most part in check last week. So that trade is looking well, even though they did still end up losing that game. I agree that trade looks pretty good for them.
Right. Let's see. Got the game over in Germany, Colts versus Patriots, and John and I are both going to be going with Indy on this one.
Yeah, it's hard to pick against what is obviously the better team, just on tape over the last few weeks, and I'll probably go with you guys as well. Colts will probably win that game. Although those Germany games, watch out. Those Germany games those are weird games. It messes with the teams a little bit.
Right.
I could see Bill Belichick capitalizing on something like that and getting one of his 7 wins this season on the road in Germany. But yeah, I'll go with Colts. I think they're the better team. Yeah.
Yep. We got my game of the week here, Texans at Bengals. John and I still both going Cincinnati with this one, but I do think it could be a very fun one.
Yeah, fun doesn't equal who's the favorite, and the favorite is the Cincinnati Bengals. And if they're getting back to their winning ways, over the last 2 weeks they beat the Niners on the road, and then they beat the Buffalo Bills, and that's 2 very impressive wins in my opinion.
Yep.
Tack on the Houston Texans on my book as well. Yeah, Bengals.
We got the New Orleans Saints here at the Minnesota Vikings. Josh Dobbs getting the start here with a full week of practice, and John and I continue to agree on our picks as we're both going to be going with Minnesota.
Yeah, this is where we're going to diverge a little bit. I'm going to choose the Saints in this one. I know that they're, for some reason, they are the favorites, and they probably should be because you do have Dobbs as that quarterback. I don't know. I just think that I think Alvin Kamara is going to have a big game. And Dobbs, his second week in Minnesota, will he really replicate what he did last week against the Falcons? Will he really be able to do that? I have doubts. I have reservations about that. He could. He very well could, though. I'm going to go Saints in this one. It's just a gut feeling.
Yep. We got the Packers at the Steelers here. Of course, I'm going to be going with my Green Bay Packers. John's going to be taking the Pittsburgh Steelers.
Yeah, I'm torn on this one. Early day game. I really like the Pittsburgh Steelers defense in this game. I think they're going to have a good day. but it really this game's all going to come down to Kenny Pickett. Will Kenny Pickett uh, will he target solely Deontay Johnson the whole entire game? Because if he will, I think the Packers are going to win because I like that cornerback matchup with Alexander over there. I'm going to choose. I'm probably going to choose the Pittsburgh Steelers in this one because I think they'll keep on winning and rolling. But I would not be shocked if this goes the Packers' way.
Yeah, Steelers do got that home field advantage as well in this one. We got the Tennessee Titans and the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. I'm going to be going with Tennessee. John's also going to go with the Titans.
Yeah, and we're going to do. We'll go Tampa Bay. We'll go Tampa Bay here. I like the home field, and it's hard to pick. I'm just kind of going against rookie quarterbacks, it seems like at this point, when I look at all my picks. And I think we're going to keep that train rolling. I think that's a lot of pressure to put on Will Levis, middle of his rookie season, with the veteran quarterback healthy. And he started the season as the start. Yeah, he started the season as the starting quarterback. So, yeah, I think that's a lot of pressure to put on a quarterback. I'm going to go Tampa Bay here. But, yeah, Titans could do it. I think they're a very talented team.
Mm-hmm. Here we go. We got two of the best teams in the NFL with the San Francisco 49ers and Jacksonville Jaguars. I'm going to be taking San Francisco, get off that 3-game losing streak that they're on. John's going to be going with the hometown Jaguars in this one, though.
Yeah, I gotta go with what John's pick was. I like the Jaguars in this game. Not many teams go into Jacksonville and beat them. They're pretty good at home, and it really is all going to depend on those Niners with Brock Purdy. Is he the same quarterback? Is he going to be last year's Brock Purdy, or is he going to be the last 3 games we've seen Brock Purdy? If he's last year's Brock Purdy, Niners will dismantle him. But if it's this season's, give me the Jaguars.
Yeah. We got your game of the week, I believe it was, the Browns and the Baltimore Ravens. I'm going to go with Baltimore. They're playing some of the best football of any team in the NFL right now, and so I think they're going to continue that. John's taking Cleveland.
Yeah, I'm going to go the Ravens in this game, but I do think it will be a close game. I just think the Ravens are just a better team. They're playing better football right now, and as good as the Browns have been, Ravens have been best in football over the last 3 weeks. So we're going to go with the hot hand.
We got the Atlanta Falcons against the Arizona Cardinals out with Kyler Murray sounding like he's going to be coming back from that torn ACL he suffered last year, playing his first game of the season in this Battle of the Birds. I'm taking the Atlanta Falcons. John's going to go with the Arizona Cardinals, though.
Ooh, I like that pick, John. I think it's a fun one. I mean, I'm gonna go Falcons, but because they gotta get some wins. But yeah, I could see the Cardinals sneaking in a win at home. Yeah.
Yeah,
I'll go Falcons.
With the Falcons, yeah, you never know. I mean, they lost last week to a quarterback who just showed up, so yeah, you never know with them.
Yeah, and I mean, if it depends on Kyler Murray too. Is he gonna be the same quarterback, right, that he was back when he was before his video game playing days, right? Will he be that guy? Yeah.
Right. We got the Detroit Lions and the LA Chargers here. I'm going to go with Detroit. John will also take them.
And I will also take Detroit as well, although, yeah, this could be shootout, match, game of the week, come down to the wire, fourth quarter, last-minute drive kind of a situation. But, yeah, we'll go Detroit.
Yep. We got the Giants at the Cowboys here. We're probably all going to be taking Cowboys, I would imagine.
Yeah, I'm going to say Cowboys 40, Giants 3.
Ooh, they do get on the board this time around. Improvement.
Yeah, they'll get a field goal. You know what? We'll give them 10 points. They'll get a touchdown and 3 points.
Ooh, Saquon
40 to
Barkley
10.
Touchdown. There we go.
Yeah.
We got the Seahawks coming off of their worst game in a while. I actually don't know the last time the Seahawks played that bad. They're going to be hosting the Washington Commanders here. I'm going to go Seattle, as is John.
Yeah, one of the hardest places to play in football is in Seattle. It's just difficult for any team. Um, and I think Seattle's going to win this game. I don't think the Commanders are. I don't think they're there. Yeah, they're
Yeah.
not talented enough to beat the Seahawks this week on the road. Yeah.
We got Sunday night football here. Thank you, schedule makers. Jets, Raiders. I'm gonna go with the Raiders here. John's gonna take the Jets though.
Yeah, I'll take the Raiders. I think they got something going now that their coach is gone. So we'll see. I just don't trust the Jets at this point. I don't see it. But yeah, this game I think will be low scoring. So it could be anyone's game.
Mm-hmm. And then finally here for Week 10, got the Denver Broncos at the Buffalo Bills. Monday night football. I'm gonna take the Bills here to get up to 6 wins. And John, of course, is going to be taking his Buffalo Bills to win this one as well.
Yeah, and I picked this as upset of the week. So this
Yep.
will be Denver in my book. Who do I suspect to win this game? I suspect the Bills will win it by 10 points. It'll be like a 29-19 Monday Night Football game kind of a thing.
Mm-hmm.
That that's what I probably think will happen. But yeah, let's go with the Broncos. Let's see Russell Wilson and Sean Payton repeat what they did last week. Yeah.
Yep, pull off another huge upset against one of the Titans of the AFC.
Yeah, for sure.
All right, I think that's about it. Do you have any last words to say? Anything else, maybe about this past week or this upcoming week, or I mean, Eagles on a bye. If you have anything, anything you want to declare to the world, about your Philadelphia Eagles this week.
Um, Everyone's hyping up. I've read so many. I guess just now that you ask, I've read so many blogs and posts and articles about how the Eagles are. That was just such a vintage win against the Cowboys. The Cowboys should have won that game. I'm saying that as an Eagles fan. The Cowboys should have won that game. They were on the goal. They were on the 5-yard line with 27 seconds left in the game, and they couldn't put it in. And then even before that, they were in the red zone, also down 5 points with 6 minutes to go, and they still couldn't put it in the end zone or even make a field goal for that matter. So I think the Eagles are not playing their best football, and unless they change and diverge from that, I think we might be looking at another, and this is coming from Eagles fan, I think we might be looking at another NFC team in this year's Super Bowl, but we'll see.
Yeah.
Yeah, we'll see. I guess that's my, I don't know if that's a spicy pick or a spicy take or not, but it was game of the week, and the Ravens look good. I'm excited for you, Kylie. I'm really excited for you. You got to be watching some great football. But at this point in the season, I mean, I guess before we leave, I kind of want to know what your thoughts are, what the veterans' thoughts are. What do you think of your Super Bowl matchup? What you said at the beginning of the season, and do you think it's still going to stand here at the midway point?
Oh man, let's see. What did I end up picking for the Super Bowl? Did I go? I went Bills over Eagles. Okay. The Bills season is kind of going the way I thought it would, where I said they're going to go through a slump at some point in the middle of the year, and they're going to be like a wild card team. I officially predicted them to be the 7 seed actually in the AFC, but to get hot at the end of the season and make a run, and so that's looking possible right now. But I still don't feel great about them. If I had to choose another AFC team, obviously right now, it matters more to get hot late in the year than it does in the middle of the season. But I am really liking those Baltimore Ravens right now. And then for the NFC, I think it'd be sticking with that Eagles pick.
Yeah, the hard part about the NFC is there's just not a whole lot of competition. You just don't see many teams beating the Eagles. I think at the beginning of the season, I'm pretty sure I had the Bengals
I
and
think so.
Eagles.
Yeah.
And I think I had the Eagles winning that. I'm at this point in the season, I'm going to say the Bengals get back, and I think they do win the Super Bowl this year. And I'm going to have the NFC team we'll say the Niners.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah, we'll say the Niners. But honestly, I'm not con I'm not confident that any of the NFC teams at this point can beat the Philadelphia Eagles with the way they're playing right now. But if the Cowboys, honestly, if the Cowboys played their best game this last Sunday, they would have beaten Philly.
Yeah.
And if the Niners, honestly, if the Niners and Eagles are playing in like what 3 weeks. If the Niners play their best game against the Eagles, I would suspect them to win. So it's it all comes down to who's hot at the end of the season and who's not. So yeah, we'll see.
Yeah, that's another reason why I would say Buffalo doesn't really need to be worried because you still got Josh Allen as your quarterback. If you can even just be floating around 500 come like December or even like mid-December, something like that, and then you get hot and you get 10 wins, 10-7, or you go 11-6, something like that, playing your best football at the end of the year, getting hot going to the playoffs. I think that gives you honestly your best chance.
Yeah, and on top of that, I would add, if you get into the playoffs, who are you playing against as what, the fifth seed? You're probably playing against either an inexperienced Dolphins team in the playoffs who haven't won a playoff game in a while, or you're playing against a Jaguars team who it feels like they've just been beating up on their division, and you know what I mean. So you're probably going to have a favorable matchup for yourself. So yeah, I could see the Bills making a run if they got hot at the end of the season.
Yeah, and then
they have the talent for it.
Right. Yeah, the other powerhouse there in the AFC, I would say right now, of course, being the Baltimore Ravens. I just want to see them, I guess, stay hot, essentially, because, I mean, this is the best Ravens team we've seen since 2019. They went 14-2, but what they do in the playoffs, they hosted Tennessee and they got destroyed. So can we see this team kind of, remain, at the very least, steady in winning these games and whatnot?
Yeah, I mean, when you look at their schedule and you look at their wins, they beat up against the Cardinals, they beat up against the Titans. They did crush the Browns. They beat the Texans at the beginning of the season, CJ Stroud's first game. They beat the Bengals at the beginning of the season. It was a 3-point game, and the Bengals weren't playing their best football. So I think I would just like to see the Ravens be tested a little bit more, specifically on the road. And I'm looking at matchups. I'm looking at week 15 and 16. They're going to be playing in Jacksonville, and then they'll be playing in San Francisco.
Ooh.
And I like that Jacksonville game because I don't know if you remember last year, they played Jacksonville near the end of the season, and Jacksonville had that vintage, amazing. It was a great game, but they had that vintage Trevor Lawrence win that kind of vaulted them into the playoffs. I'm curious as to see those two games because I think that's really going to tell us, are the Ravens for real? Because they're going to have to beat teams like the Chiefs and the Bills and the Bengals on the road when they're playing playoff football. They're going to be able to have to do that. So that's kind of my reservation that I have for the Ravens. I agree with you.
Yeah, I am very impressed by two of their recent wins. Destroying Detroit, who is one of the best teams in the NFC, and then I still think the Seahawks are a good team, and they just manhandled them this past week. And so that's what really has impressed me so far, at least recently, about Baltimore.
Yeah, I once again, talent, they have it. They have the talent. They have it looks like they got their running back, right? It looks like they got that one piece that could never seem to be healthy for them in seasons past. The quarterback's healthy. He got paid, so he's not complaining anymore. You got your wide receiver and Flowers. Who knows? You might even get OBJ involved a little bit more into the mix. Who knows? Yeah. So, in terms of talent, the Ravens are there. They're up there with the prime teams in the AFC. The question, I think, does remain: do they have that battle-tested drive to beat those supreme AFC teams that we've seen be at the top of the top for the last 3 years?
Right.
But we'll see. You're right. That Seahawks and Lions game, they're good. They're a really good team. Yeah, I wouldn't want to be playing them this next week.
Right. Yeah, tough game for Cleveland coming up. All right. Well, thank you so very much, Mr. David, for joining me on this week of the Veteran and Rookie Podcast. Hope John should be back with us next week, but we'll be sure to call on you at some point. Maybe later on in the season. Maybe we'll bring you on for one of our playoff games, or heck, if the Eagles end up making the Super Bowl again this year, maybe a little Super Bowl preview or something like that with you on the show. I think that could be fun.
I'm looking forward to it. Thanks for having me on.
We'll talk to you next time. See ya.
See you guys. Bye.